wanted to talk to you today about trends. Now, of course, these are my beliefs. Take what you like, leave the rest. But I feel so many times trends bring about an unhealthy aspect or bring up an unhealthy aspect within you, right? They bring up some of the things that maybe you feel unworthy or not good enough, or you feel like you're being excluded. Like, so how are these trends helpful? And it's funny in that trends change. You know, what's Heidi Klum is the one that says, one day you're in, one day you're out, right? So this week I was on a podcast with Maria Liberati, the Maria Liberati Show. And Maria is amazing. She is an award-winning book writer. She's a food enthusiast. She's a chef. She travels all over the world. And we started getting into this conversation about trends, which I'll talk about that, but it stimulated this video too. So I do want to get into and talk about that and talk about why a trend may not be right for you. And you can feel okay about that. You can feel okay not being the trendy one. So let's get into that. My name is Nina Zapala. If you're new to my channel, I talk about spiritual personality typing, and let me give you a little brief explanation of that because it's something, I'm an ENTP, so it's something I kind of have been working on and developing over the last 10 years. And so let me give you a quick glimpse and decide what this new personality paradigm is and how you can use it. And it's a very practical way for self-understanding. So we're going to start with self-understanding. So my belief in understanding yourself is you have to understand that we are physical beings having a human experience. So there's a physical aspect. See what you're looking at. You're seeing this Nina persona, right? But what you don't see is my eternal divine spark within, that inner wise guide that knows exactly what you need, when you need it, who you need to go to get it from, or who you need to partner with. Knows everything about you. All right? So there's this wise inner guide. I like to call it your better half, that leads you on your soul's evolution. And that's the eternal beingness of yourself that I believe is always connected to the Creator, divine intelligence. It lives and resides in you. So I feel we have a non-physical and a physical. And I'm sure you've heard this somewhere along the way. If you haven't, go listen to Abraham Hicks. Oh, there's another person. I'll put his book in the description box below, along with the Maria Liberati Show. If you're traveling, it'd be interesting for you to listen to that. Oh, I forget his name. He's old school, but he's really good. And I listen to a lot of the old school people on this. So I'll list some book references for you in that speaks very specifically about us being physical and non-physical beings. So first of all, there's a self-understanding there. And so what I do to try to make that more practical so you can put something into place immediately and start practicing this is, I believe you have to understand your personality type. And I use Myers-Briggs only because I feel it's more flexible. And I think it grows with you. I'm not a student of others. I know the Enneagram. I don't know the Big Five at all. I don't know a lot about any other ones. I do study astrology, which very much parallels into the Enneagram and your personality. It's so funny because all the things that I studied, all these spiritual things, right? Like I'm an Enneagram 7. I'm an ENTP. I'm an Aquarian. All of that is very contrary, unconventional. I just go against the trends, actually, all those things. So it all aligns. So once you have that self-understanding, you'll see, oh, how this fits here, how this fits into astrology, or how this fits in the Enneagram, or how this fits into personality typing. So whatever you choose. But I study Myers-Briggs, and I believe that non-physical aspect of yourself uses, and I'll call it the accessory of your personality type as a way to express itself. So knowing your traits is really important. because that's part of your self-understanding as well. You have to know who you are, the who you really are, the who of who you really are, right? You have to understand that. So because we want to always be expressing the higher consciousness of our traits, because we have, weaknesses and strengths. We learn through our weaknesses. So we don't want to ever deny our weaknesses, because they're part of who we are and they're part of our evolutionary process. But when you start operating from a very healthy personality type, it allows that divine spark within to sync with you at a much greater level, because it's of a higher consciousness. It does not sync in with fear, which is a lower consciousness. It just can't. So then you become disconnected. And if you're feeling this in your life, if you're feeling the overwhelm, the anxiety, the depression, the desperation for something that something's out there. I was in that. Trust me, that feeling in itself initiated my 7-year life tsunami. But there's other feelings of being lost, of not having meaning and purpose. All these things are just letting you know that you haven't brought yourself into the self-understanding of realizing that you're a physical and non-physical being, the role of the personality type, and how listening to that divine spark within brings it all together and then lets you take divinely inspired actions. When you start doing that, it allows you to choose your reality, right? Because you're choosing from a higher consciousness, so you're choosing your reality. You're not dependent on all the opinions of other people, the trends, right? You're not dependent on all those things. You're not looking externally anymore, because you're trusting that inner guide, that wise guide within you, the better half that knows how to navigate your life to fit into that pure potential. It realizes all that. So you're trusting that. So that leads you to choosing your reality, which leads you to living a life you love. So that is in essence what spiritual personality typing is. It's a little brief snapshot. If you're interested in learning more, you can read the book. The book gives you a really, really good detail about the self-understanding part and then choosing, because I have prompts in here and reflection questions. And we're going to talk about travel, because I believe travel is one of the best ways to start the journey. So if you're interested in the book, it's called Unpack Your Personality. Let your inner guide, of course, be your travel guide, right? It's on Amazon or wherever books are sold. It's a paperback or Kindle. So whatever you choose to do. So let's get back to the trends, because I think this is so interesting. Because as I started thinking about my conversation from the Maria Liberati show, I thought, wow, at some point, a trend does hit with you. It fits within the characteristics of your persona and where your soul and your life mission is heading. So it fits. So you get all excited, like, oh, this trend is really cool. I love it. It's so me, because it is you. But you have to figure out who you are to realize that is you, right? And so you have that beautiful moment where it just sinks and it works so well. And then there's other times, most of the other times, the trends aren't going to fit. Excuse me. I have a frog in my throat. I should have brought my water out. But the trends don't fit. That's when I say it brings in an unhealthy aspect. You feel like, why isn't this sinking? Why is this working for everybody else? You think it's working for everybody else, because it's usually a collective trend. And this is where I talk about like a travel trend, where it's this collective trend that, oh, this is the place you need to visit. And then you show up there and it's like, this isn't me at all. Like, I'm not vibing with this at all. I'm not feeling it. I'm not happy. And then you get into that spiral, right? That spiral, that negative spiral that takes you down into the rabbit hole, down into that dark place. I've done this. It's easy for me to tell you about it. I spent so much money on this trip, and oh my God, I just do not like it. I don't like anything about it. Why am I here? This doesn't fit with me. It's so busy. Like, I can't think. Like, why are people being rude? Because you're attracting all that in. You're attracting that energies into you, right? Your mind shifting from, oh, happy, exploring, travel, I'm going to do some fun things, to, this isn't working for me. I don't like it. See how see how the energy just drops down, right? So not all trends are made for all people. So when a trend comes out, and like I said, and it could be a trend for travel, it could be a beauty trend, a fashion trend, a medical trend, a fad diet, whatever it is, you know, don't be alarmed or don't follow something that doesn't sync with who you are. And you know how you can tell? I'll give you a real quick test. Here's a hack. How does it make you feel? Travel's kind of tough because when you travel, you're getting all excited. You're not there yet, right? Because we as humans like to have everything physically implanted before, you know, we're happy. Like we have to be there. Well, no, you don't. This is why you have to trust in that inner guide, because you just have to feel into it. Like imagine yourself there. How would that feel? And then really go do the research. Don't let other people think for you. Go do some research. See what people are saying, you know? And you can't read all the reviews and believe all the reviews because they're them. They're filtering their lives through their lens. It's not your lens. So that's why I don't even like reading reviews sometimes. But to get an idea when you're first exploring, then sit with it. Do a little meditation on it. Is this right for me? You know? And why are you traveling? Is there a goal? So all these things should sink within you before you even start looking at the trend. Is it like you just need to buy into it real quickly? Don't do that. Don't just buy into something really quickly without feeling into that inner wise guide within you that's going to let you know one way or another that, no, this might not be right for me. Even though it's trend and all my friends are into the trend, you know, like I know Portugal is a big travel trend right now, right? Everyone's like, oh, Portugal, you have to Portugal is beautiful. And it looks amazingly beautiful. But I have several friends that went there and they're like, oh, like I went to a restaurant and the food wasn't even Portuguese anymore. I'm like, why? Like, well, first of all, I wouldn't have went to that place, but you just think it's going to be, right? So you think you have all these expectations, then you get there, none of your expectations are met. What do? You know? So I've had a couple people say that, yeah, it's okay. It wasn't like, oh, everyone's raving, like they're all raving, you know? And then you talk to people like, yeah, it was okay. I like da-da-da-da-da better. You know why I like da-da-da-da-da better? It's because it syncs with their personality type. It syncs with those characteristics that are innately you, right? It's not all who you are, because I've said this on many other videos. You are not your personality type. Personality type, like I said, is the accessory that inner divine spark within you uses to express through. It expresses itself through your persona. So what all your sacred traits are just the traits it needs to evolve the soul here on earth, to evolve the soul so the soul can complete its mission here on earth school. That's what your personality's for, you know? And I know it's a lot more complicated than that, you know, but we don't have to make it so complicated, do we? I know there's a lot of things that go into this, and you know, I'm on a 20-minute video, so I can't go into everything. That's why the book's here. Anyhow, so travel trends. So let me get back to the trends. So sometimes you need to just step back, like in your traveling. So you're traveling, you follow the trend, you know, you're there now because you're experienced it. You're in the physical and you don't like it. What do? You're gonna have to step back. And if some place is really busy, say you're an introvert and you don't like real busy, you're gonna have to find a way to take a solo trip by yourself. Even if you're with other people, you're like, I need a break. Go to a garden, go take a hike, go read a book, and whatever floats your boat, right? You know, personality types that love trends, almost all trends, is going to be an ESTP. They're just trend focused, you know. An INFJ is like, no. An INTP, no. An ENTP, no. They're very highly individualistic, unconventional. And me, ENTP, probably not so much. INTP, probably not so much. So there's more of us that aren't really on the whole trend bandwagon than there are on the trend bandwagon. But we as a collective society, it's just pushed at us through all the media, social media channels, you know, through TV, through magazines, through whatever media of choice that you read. So it's getting pushed upon you. So it creates a perception that everyone's doing this, which is not necessarily true. So be mindful of that as well. So if you're in a place, you're traveling, you can think of ways, if you go inside, that the place will support you. Find those ways and start elevating your mindset back to one of appreciation, because it's a privilege to travel, of happiness, of pleasures. Find the pleasures, find the joy, elevate your mindset, right? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's not smart. And the same thing happens with trends in fashion. The things with trends in fashion that we can quickly look, because we're so prone to do the physical first, is like we just go to the store and try this on and goes, oh, this looks like, no, not for me, right? You know? And so you can quickly dismiss that. That's why trends change all the time. Always changing. Because the people that are creating the trends know that. They're creating the trends based on their luxury vibe or whatever they want to sell, or the travel vibe, whatever place they want to push, whatever place is paying for advertisement in their magazine, or whatever influencer is getting paid for that. You have to realize that there's a lot behind these trends, and it's not just like, this is a trend that's good for you. This could be a trend that undermines you. So be very mindful of that. Know yourself. Same thing with diets. What's the next fad diet? Well, you need to study your body and figure out what your body wants. I'm not a nutrition, I don't, but I know a lot of these fad diets can be very dangerous for you. So please, 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 please study, know yourself, understand yourself, understand from your personality traits what you desire, what your beliefs are. And then go into yourself and feel, how does it make you feel? How does the trend make you feel? And if it makes you feel uncomfortable, don't go there. And be okay. Be okay with not being the trendy person. Be the untrendy person. Me. I mean, for so long, I've been, and I think that's my personality type too. So it's through my lens. And I had the capacity of just kind of letting people's stuff go. It's my personality type. Other personality types don't have that capacity. So you're going to feel these things and experience these things much more different than I am. So that's why I say, take what you like and leave the rest. So trends, be careful that they're not undermining you, right? And making you feel lesser than, not accepted, excluded. Sometimes even shaming. Like, if you're not doing that, you should be doing this. Why aren't you doing this? And people want to shame you because they're doing it. Well, that might work for them. Or maybe they just didn't think and they're jumping into something without thinking, and they're just jumping on the bandwagon, whether it's good for them or not. You're going to step back and be the one that's a little bit more conscious. And you're going to tap into that super consciousness of yourself, that divine spark within. And you're going to see what that's telling you. Then you step forward. You could step into the trend or not into the trend. But whatever you're doing, it's going to serve your mind instead of undermine you. There's a big difference. So just know, trends of all shapes and sizes in every industry, right, are typically there to sell you something. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying, be aware of this, choose wisely. If the trend uplifts you, go for it. If it undermines you, walk away from it, right? So there's gonna be a lot more on the blog about this. Lots more on the blog about this. Easy for me to say. I need my coffee. It's Saturday morning, and I'm like not quite awake yet. So there's gonna be a lot more on the blog, and then of course there's a really good introduction to all this in my book. It's really about self-understanding and understanding that you're physical and non-physical, and how travel really helps you kickstart a journey like that. So I hope you enjoy this video. Please comment, please follow, please subscribe. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope I helped you. All for now, Nina.